Let's do something a little different to kick off this episode. Imagine this. Someone comes to you with a magic pill, and this magic pill gives you the ability where 3 nights a week you don't have to sleep. No fatigue, no burnout, just pure extra time to work on your business. What would you do with those bonus hours? Would you finally write that sales page? Would you launch that course that you're thinking about? Would you map out your next campaign or write an ad for the next person you want to hire or finally schedule all those social media posts? What would you do? With 20 plus extra hours in your week, what could you accomplish? Probably a whole lot, right? Well, I'm happy to tell you that magic pill already exists. And it's called automation. It's called systems. It's called technology that could be giving you back your time. And you don't even need to think about giving up any of your sleep. Here's the thing, automation isn't easy. It can be a complicated process and it can take a little bit of time to get it right. So whether you are brand new to automation and you're doing a lot of things manually right now, or whether you already have systems in place and some technology, there's always more that you can do with your technology stack. And that's the collection of technologies and tools that you use in your business. Your automation technology will save you time. There are always ways to give you back that freedom that you wish you had in all your days. So today, we're talking about automation. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Her Business Podcast. I'm Susie Daphnis, I'm your host, and I'm the CEO at Her Business. And today we're talking about something that can be a little intimidating if you're not comfortable with technology. We're talking about automation for your business. And this episode kicks off our technology theme month inside of the Her Business Network. And we're providing members with all sorts of resources and goodies surrounding an often underutilized tool that buys back your time and makes you and your team far more efficient. Now, we can have a tendency as business owners to sort of lean towards the things that we're comfortable with, the things that we're good at. And new technology or automations, anything new, can kind of take the power out of our hands, and that can be intimidating. But here talking with us today is an expert in all things automation, and she will share exactly why automation gives you more power and actually more time over your business. So instead of having to respond to every single meeting request, you can spend time on high-level work. Instead of sending every email yourself, you can spend time planning your quarterly objectives. Now, through automation, you can spend more of your valuable time doing the work that actually needs your attention and your genius. Now, Mandy is the founder of Streamline for Success and is an international award-winning automation expert. Now, she has over 11 years of specialized experience, and she's on a mission to help small business owners, especially coaches and consultants and those who are creating courses, to simplify their tech, to consolidate their systems, to streamline their customer service experience and their customer experience and their operations. Why? So that they can buy back their time, so that they can reduce the overwhelm and build a business that lets them do what they do best. I'm so excited to have Mandy on the show today. She's working with a number of Her Business members to help them transition to new customer relationship management systems, to introduce automation to their businesses. And I guarantee you will get so many takeaways from this episode, whether you already have an established automation setup or you're just dipping your toes in the water when it comes to technology. So let's dive right in and welcome Mandy Brasser to the show. Hey, Mandy, welcome to the show.
I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you, Susie.
I'm delighted to have you here. This is a really important conversation for women who are growing a business. And I want to start by asking you, because your tagline is more business, less work, which I love. What does that mean to you personally? And how has automation, which is the topic that we're talking about today, helped you achieve that right in your own business?
Yeah, it's something that I probably spent a little bit of time on. I think for all of us that when we start our own business, we think, okay, we're experts in our field. That's all we need to worry about now. That's why we go out on our own and we do it. But there's so much more that we need to do and worry about on the admin, the marketing side, the system side, that, you know, that's not necessarily what people are experts in, but it's something that you've got to do as a business owner. So it's really about focusing on getting that admin repetitive manual work taken care of so that you can focus on more of the stuff that makes the impact and creates more business, whether it's being able to spend more time nurturing strategic partners, leveraging, creating leverage programs, courses, memberships, events, moving from that one to many. So, it's just having some of that stuff that you can get caught up and get too busy doing, getting that taken care of so you can focus on what you love, which I know, you guys are all about that as well, is, do more of what you love, which is great.
Mm-hmm. I love what you're saying there, because especially as we're growing our businesses, the tasks don't often get fewer, they get more. And the more that we're doing manually, the more time that we're dedicating to working in the business rather than on the business, which is really where we can make the biggest impact as a business owner. And so there's waste of time and energy and resources when we're doing a whole lot of things manually. And I'd love to know, what are some of the biggest time wasters that you see women face in their businesses that could really be alleviated by automation?
Yeah, I mean, the list is huge, Susie.
I bet.
But there's a few things that I see are common ones. Particularly, we work with a lot of coaches, consultants, and course creators. But one of the ones is around automating appointments. The whole backwards and forwards that somebody experiences around, hey, you available Tuesday, 2 p.m. You send an email off. You wait to hear back. They come back. No, I can't do that. Oh, no, sorry. Can you do this time? There's this backwards and forwards exchange happening. And then you finally find a time that works. Okay, the time happens and somebody forgets to show up because he had no reminders or anything like that. And that's where the power of automation can really come into play here, particularly if you're doing free sales calls, discovery calls, client calls, group calls, having that entire process automated so that somebody can go to your booking link. It'll look at your calendar. Are you available? What are the nominated spots that you actually want to do that type of appointment? Somebody can book themselves in. It can be added to their calendar. You can automate confirmation reminders. And then ideally, if you create a really good experience from the time they book to the show up and how you're nurturing them into showing up, then ideally they show up. And you don't have that dead time of the toing and froing. You can talk to people faster, hopefully, and then people will show up because everyone's time is so valuable, particularly if you're doing consulting work, which I know a number of your listeners are, Susie. So if you have a client book out a time and they don't show up, you're losing money because somebody else could have taken that spot. So that's one in particular. Automating payments online is another one we see a lot. And don't get me wrong, there's times that you might be on a sales call and you want to take the credit card then and there. You want to close the deal then and there. But there's also a huge opportunity, if you're not doing this yet, is to automate that somebody can go and buy from you at 11 o'clock at night because that's the only chance that they've had to look at your offer, and they can not only sign up and take credit card payment and have all of that automated, but they can get an email to confirm what it is that they've purchased and start that onboarding or the experience that you want to create for those people. So there's so many, as I said, I could probably talk a lot about this, Susie, but that's those two areas are huge. And we worked with a client a few years ago. They've got quite a complex booking process. And by just kind of combining those two and automating that process, we're saving 26 hours a week for her business.
Which is fantastic.
Amazing, right? Because that's game changing for them. They've all of a sudden got somebody in their business that can now go and work on other things that are going to add more value to their business and bottom line. So they're just a couple of examples, but the list is huge.
There's a woman that I've been working with in the US. She's kind of a life coach kind of person, and she has no automation. And so we have this email back and forth. Can you do this?
I do.
What about that? It just takes so long. I don't know. She's a little tech phobic, I think. It's probably, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that, about people who are just technology just sort of wigs them out. But being able to make an appointment, know that people are going to get reminders. If one of the things that we do when I have an appointment, if I need to have a little bit of information ahead of time, I can ask someone to respond ahead of time so that I'm ready for that appointment, for example. And then on the purchasing, I know as a business owner, I'm often doing my purchasing, when no one is in their office. It's late at night. It's while I'm watching some TV. And so I need that to be automated and to be able to know that I've got my tracking link, that the order has been received, et cetera, et cetera. So the fact that you've been able to add back so many hours to this business, that is valuable. That is thousands of dollars. Thousands and thousands of dollars, to them. Yeah. So good. So there are a couple of the time wasters. Say someone is overwhelmed with this idea of automation, especially if they're not really good at tech and they don't know where to begin. What area of business, and it might be what you've just said, but what area of business do you recommend automating first that'll take the greatest load off them as a business owner?
Yeah. This is a great question, and there's so many ways I could answer this, Susie.
Go for it.
First depends on so many factors, but what I want to say initially, particularly because I know a lot of people feel overwhelmed by tech, and that please know you don't have to do everything right away. Like some of our best clients that we've worked with for years, they are still automating parts of their business. There's still opportunity. That's why some of the biggest businesses out there in the world are always looking for ways to boost efficiency. So as much as, okay, yes, you're just starting out, please know that like you might identify a whole heap. It's okay. Park it. Don't feel like you need to do it all right away. And it's looking for sometimes, particularly if this is a little daunting for you, what's a quick win that you can get that you can start to see some immediate results. And one of the things that I didn't learn right away, but I did after a while because I do this for a living. I'm like, oh, I can automate all this stuff. But one of the things around automation is that you want to automate something that's proven, something that you've actually got some wins on the board. Like if you're launching a new whatever it is, then yes, you might have to put some bare bones in. Like we've got a few clients at the moment launching new courses. Great. But we want to strip it down to, okay, we've got to make sure that you're going to sell this thing. What's the bare minimum that we would need to do? It's kind of like what we call a lean launch. Okay, what's the bare minimum so that you can set up some automation, get some wins on the board, and you can always come back later and make it better. So don't feel like you have to do it all. But there's a couple of things. Time, which I sort of mentioned before in that example, time is a big factor of, okay, if you're spending a lot of time, half an hour every day or a couple of hours every week, or maybe it's not that. But if you can start to see and look at what you're doing every single day in your business, maybe there's opportunities there. There's probably a few things, but another factor is the cost of the systems. Like we're at the moment transitioning one of our clients who's spending $1,600 a month on one of her systems that doesn't do everything that she needs. She needs all these other systems. So her priority of what she's doing first is we're moving her over to our all-in-one platform so that she can reduce the cost that she's spending on her subscriptions. So that that's not necessarily going to save her time, but it's going to put more money in her back pocket right now. So that's a priority for her. But there's so many other areas. What are your goals as well for this 90 days? Because maybe there's some opportunity in there that you can automate some other areas of your business. And there's probably a few others I could talk about, but there's some of the main factors. But I really want to stress that particularly when you're first starting out, it can feel a little overwhelming. So try and work out and identify what it is that you should focus on first. But know that you don't necessarily have to do it. And I remember when I first started out, it was probably about 12 years ago now, when I was trying to build out an automation myself. I've got 2 degrees. I think I'm a fairly intelligent person. And I remember this one day I was in tears because I couldn't figure out how to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. And I feel like I may not be the only one that goes through that. And it's okay. I was actually talking to a business owner the other day and I was showing her something and she said to me, please don't tell anybody that I asked you this. And I think that's such a shame. That and I've felt it too. Like we've got this embarrassment about tech, and that it's okay to need and want help. And so once you identify what it is that you're going to start with, and if you need some help, reach out. I'm happy to have a chat to you. But it's then, okay, are you going to do it? Is a member of your team going to do it? Or maybe get some help to do it. Because sometimes I feel like it's like when I've just hired somebody to help me with my social media. For years I thought, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I'll make time to do it. I've never made time to do it. And it's the same for automation. And I feel like this is something that can really impact your business's bottom line. So if you don't spend the time to do it yourself, please look at getting some help to make it happen, because it can really transform your business.
Absolutely. It can totally transform your business. And what I found is, because we try and automate as much as we can, partly because we have a number of part-time staff and some crossover roles. And so we can't leave it to things possibly falling to the ground, which they rarely do. We've got a lot automated, but there's always more things that we can automate. And I was listening in on a conversation last week where one of our members is losing a team member, someone who's been in charge of her administration. And what they're finding in the handover is that about half the things that person was doing could be automated. So we're paying someone by the hour to do work, possibly, that could be automated. And so I'm not saying this from a point of view of, we'll pay them less, possibly, but maybe that person could now use their time connecting more with clients, doing more business building work, doing higher level work than the manual things that they were doing because they didn't have automation in place. So all for automation. And to your point, is if this is not your wheelhouse, then get help. You said you're getting help with social media. Absolutely. If automation is not your thing, really the time and money that you're going to spend getting someone to put the systems in process, you are going to save many times over in the bandwidth that you're going to have, the brain space you're going to have, let alone the savings in money. And if you are using multiple platforms and they're all like X dollars, US dollars usually a month, could you, is part of your automation is actually pulling things together, finding an all-in-one tool that does most things at least to like 90% as well as what you're doing, if not 100%, but that just makes things simpler for you. And as Mandy said, please just reach out to her if you want to have a quick chat about that. One of the things that I have been asked before about automation is, but I don't want my communications to sound robotic or impersonal. I want it to remain human. Now, I think I know the answer for me to this question, but I'd love to know what your take is on that. How do we keep the human in our business while behind the scenes we're automating?
Yeah. There's a lot that you can actually do, and you'll probably be surprised. I think unless you're in this space, you probably don't fully see. And I uncover stuff every other day about someone else doing something else. I'm like, that's amazing. And the human element is, of course, when you send an email, you want to address them. Who are they? And not only, of course, that helps you to realize that you know your person, but it helps with deliverability too. But I'm sure you and Michelle have spoken about this before, Susie, is,
So Michelle, for those listening, Michelle is my co-host on the Content Sales podcast, and Michelle and I co-present the Marketing Success Mastermind, of which Mandy is part.
Thanks. Yes, that's good to add that context. But I'm sure you guys have spoken about the right message at the right time to the right people. And that is so important. And it's going beyond just sending an email with somebody's name. It's really being able to craft the right messages to that to your audience. And like, if you think about, if you've got a couple of you've got a pet dog, and you've got a vet and who sends out a nice newsletter, but he's constantly talking to you about cats. And you're like, well, I don't even have a cat. And so the element of segmentation here is that you've got okay, yes, people that go to a vet have pets, right? So that's great. But we've got down to that segmentation that these people have a dog. Okay, great. I want to know just about dogs. Yes. So oftentimes I think businesses miss this opportunity that they don't have an email preference center to give people the opportunity to let them know what they're actually interested in and segment, because without it, the option is that, okay, unsubscribe, and then you lose that person. So there's a downside of not having that segmentation, but having the segmentation, then you can really craft those messages. And one of the other things that I see often is that, somebody's already signed up for a program, and you keep sending them emails about signing up for the program. Oh my gosh. But there's a few other things. If I've got time, Susie, I'll just mention a couple of, like, birthdays, reaching out birthdays, anniversaries. Right. We've worked with a personal trainer before, and they wanted to celebrate when somebody came to the gym 50 times, or, other milestones.
Love it.
Yeah. So there's all these little things that you can add along the way. and just make it more personable. I know for one of my highest performing engaged email that I ever sent I was just really vulnerable. I don't know what was going on at the time. I can't remember. But you can still show yourself as a human in automation. And I feel like that's something that that people shouldn't shy away from. People, at the end of the day, it's a human to human interaction that we're having, even if it might be automated and you wrote it 6 months ago or 2 years ago. That's absolutely still valuable to share yourself and make sure the tone of the emails is representing your voice as well.
Speaking of tone, I wanted to give you an example of setting up a whole sequence of emails ahead of time and having them all fire off at different points in time towards a live event. So my partner PJ and I had an event business in the US from 2000 to 2007, and we had pre-set up all our gorgeous emails ready to go to promote an event in New York City. And September 11 came. And that day and the next day, we had scheduled emails to go to our audience in New York about an event we were doing there with one of our authors. Now, we didn't think, in all that chaos going on, we didn't think about the fact that these emails were going to be totally inappropriate to people living in a city and people living in a country where one of the worst acts of terrorism ever had happened. And we realized when someone wrote to us and said, hello, feel the vibe, this does not seem appropriate. And so we pulled that very, very quickly. And so I mentioned this and we corrected, and then we did go to New York and they're like, thank you for coming. It feels like everyone's abandoned this city. But the point I want to make is sometimes we do set up automations and we just want to stay tuned to, is there something happening in the climate right now that might have me go back and change that automation? In the instance I gave you, obviously it was pretty disastrous. We had to act really, really quickly. But it could also be that some of your automations you set up like 3 years ago, but things have changed and you've changed, your business has changed, but there's this still, welcome sequence running to clients that might need a refresh. So that's 100%. Where you can feel, yeah.
And like COVID was a great example of that
right.
too.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes. And you're spot on, because as I love automation because you can set and forget, but I think you're spot on. At some point you've got to go back, and I would do it regularly, particularly if it's an automation that you've got lots of people coming through. They're always not only making sure that the content is okay, but there's always opportunities to even make it better. How your subject line's performing in those emails. Can you tweak those? How are the call to action, the click? Like, yes, if you're just starting out, just get something going. That's great.
Yes.
But for those, because I know you've got a bunch in the community, Susie, that have got systems in place, and I'm grateful you brought this up, because absolutely they need to go back, but they can also optimize them as well to get even further results.
Yeah, that's a great point too. So it's not just about out-of-date information, but looking at your open rates, your people clicking and going back and refreshing things. You talked about systems. I'm a big fan of systems, and that's why we love automation. What is it that you feel like more women, business owners, could do with understanding about the connection between systems automation and having more freedom, something that we value very highly for our members?
Yeah. I feel like systems equal freedom. Like I feel like it's that direct. Because I feel like once you invest the time, you can, as you mentioned before, you can continue to reap those rewards ongoing. And yes, you might go back and make it better and those sorts of things. But it's getting that ROI, making that investment, whether you do it yourself or somebody else does it, but investing those couple of hours or whatever it's going to take to get it done, and then it's going to continue to save you time. And time equals money, and then it also equals creating the lifestyle that you want to have. The example that I mentioned before around this business saving 26 hours a week, what I didn't share was they have been in business 20 years, and after we did that, they had their first Christmas off. Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh.
And they have a family.
What a great story.
Incredible, right? Because they were they were booked out, all the automation was sorted and taken care of, and for the first time they could just relax and be with their family, and they went away, and like it's transformational. And that's what it can be for so many other businesses. Like some of you may already be able to have Christmas off and times off in your business, and that's okay. But maybe there's other areas that you can save back some time, or do more of what you love. I know there's pottery. There's a few members in the Her Business community that are
ceramics is a happening thing and for so many women looking to have a life outside of business.
Yeah, and I think for female entrepreneurs in particular, where we're juggling so many things, like we went into business, well, I don't know about you, Susie, but I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to create my own business. I'm going to be able to have this flexible lifestyle and I'm not going to work as much. I work harder than what I ever have before. Yeah, but don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have it any other way, and I'm sure most people would think that. But there's ways that systems can help us to even create more time so that we can juggle our lives better. We can spend more time with our family. We can go on more holidays. We can go and pick up that hobby that you've put to the side for so many years or whatever it looks like. And I think that's where we align so much, Susie, on our messaging, because I feel like, we're about our clients doing more of what they love and having all of this stuff taken care of, because it really can transform not only their business but their lives, and that's what's the most important.
Yeah, they're buying back time with family to catch up with those friends that they keep, putting off catching up with because they don't have time, or watching that latest Netflix series because, they're replying to emails manually or going back and forth trying to find that appointment time. Thank you. Now, one of your specialties is working with course creators, and we have a number of women in the Her Business community who are looking to go from working one-to-one to one-to-many, and one of the vehicles they want to use is a course. But as you and I were talking just before we started recording this episode, filming a course or creating the handouts or the modules is just like one tiny sliver of having a successful course. Where do you see course creators get stuck when it comes to their tech and their systems, and what do you recommend to them?
Yeah, they get stuck. I feel there's kind of a couple of key areas they get stuck. They get stuck with the overwhelm of the tech, of what they need. So oftentimes I feel as well they get stuck on picking the free tool or inexpensive tool, and they go down the path. And this is a prime example. I was talking to someone last year who was launching a course that I was generally interested in, and she'd spent all this time, effort and money, and she'd built it out in this particular tool, but it didn't work and integrate with her other systems. So she's trying to kind of get this happening, and like there's no integration with that system. So she's had to go down the path of, looking at, how is she going to solve that now? And then I think the other one, which we've spoken about before, Susie, was around, just thinking it's the course portal, just thinking it's just the tool that's going to host the content that you're going to be sharing. And actually there's 6 key functions that we need surrounding the course portal, including, the course portal. And you need to, if you're going to sell a course, you need a sales page, so a place that has the offer information on it. You need an order form to automate that somebody can give you their credit card when they're watching TV at night, as you described, Susie. Like we want to have a shop that's open 24/7 for those people. Great. We need a CRM, a customer relationship management system, so that when people buy, there's a contact record for them and it has all the details and information about that person, and that's where you can kind of give them access, which happens in the automation component. So once an order comes in, we can grant them access to that specific course, which is, of course, gated content, send them an email with their login details. So you need the email functionality as well. And then finally, it's the course portal. It's actually kind of the last step in this, but so oftentimes people just think about the course portal, but there's all these other elements that are just as important to think about. So we recommend, I'll be honest, there's no one size fits all. We've helped so many clients on so many different platforms. I think there's been about 8 different portal sort of tools that we've worked with. So it really does depend on what you need specifically, your current tech stack and a few other factors. But there's sort of 2 main approaches to it. You can go a more simple approach and look at an all-in-one solution that does it all. And we've got one of those where we're migrating people over from more expensive tech stacks with multiple US dollar-based subscriptions to consolidate that into the one. If you're looking to keep something really simple that you can manage yourself, or you've got a team member to manage yourself, or you can go, if you want full customization, flexibility, which I know that's important for some clients as well.
Yes.
there's usually a higher cost with that, and that's okay, but that's where you might go down the path of a WordPress plugin that you can kind of, design it how you like and have the look and feel. But that's definitely more robust system, but it really just does depend on what you need. And I know we've got a free guide that I'm happy to share too, Susie, with your listeners. Great. That people can access to understand more about the tech and, how you can go about choosing the right tool for you too.
We'd love that. Thank you. We will put a link to that in the show notes, and I'll tell you where to find that a little later in today's episode. I know that, and I see this a lot, is that we'll start with one tool. We might do a course on doing courses, or, we get the idea of doing a course and suddenly we've bought these 5 different subscriptions, and it's just like this really badly crafted house where you build a room and then you tack on another room and you put on a laundry and then there's, something in the back of the house, versus designing from scratch, right, which will always give us a more beautiful creation. And so if you've got this hodgepodge of different technologies that may or may not conflict with each other, but that may all be costing you a whole lot of money, plus, the way they're not integrated, or the way that one works doesn't work the same as another, or the interface is different, and that could cause a whole lot of wasted time with team, then you might want to think about an all-in-one. We still have, I'm not going to call it a hodgepodge because it's very streamlined. We use a few different tools, but we have always wished for if there was one thing that we could do most things in, how much time that would take. And so Mandy has a lot of experience in this area. So especially if you're looking to create an online portal, an online course, an online hub of sorts, and you want to build that in with your automation, then definitely check out the resource that we're going to be posting, and also get in touch with Mandy. There's a couple of questions I want to ask you. One is there anything that you see that business owners have a really hard time giving up doing manually and automating that might be costing them time and energy, but somehow they're stuck on doing it themselves?
Yeah. I know we've talked about the tech overwhelm, but I feel like there's also another, not an issue, but there's also a consideration here around losing control. Because if I'm doing it myself, I know exactly what's happening. And I know that the clients have a great experience because I'm delivering it. And that's okay. It's going to make it hard to scale. So, it's just really looking at, okay, what can we really do and let go of, that we can still create that experience. And like we were talking about, how can we humanize the experience and still set up that automation so that it happens on autopilot? I know for us, around that control part, we're mindful of that for our clients too, that it's about identifying the problem, building out a solution. But whenever we build something for a client, we do a handover. They understand how it works. But more importantly, they know how to go in and update whatever it is that they might need to update.
Right.
And I think that's really important, because I'm all about empowering our clients, because I've been in a situation that I had technology that I bought from somebody and I didn't know how to do the basics. And I feel like having that knowledge, at least the basic knowledge, or somebody on your team having that understanding of how things work and how you go and edit an email, because all of a sudden, like, there's been a major event and you've got to go in and edit all your automation emails that are happening there, then you've got control. You can actually go in and do it. And I feel like knowing that gives people peace of mind and allows them to trust that the system is working and they understand what it's doing, when it's doing it, so they can still have control. I know that's important, but they can have reassurance that it is going to work. And if they need to step in and do anything, then they can, and they know how to do that if they want to.
So good. I love that philosophy. It's like, yes, we want more clients. We want to keep working with clients, but we also want them to feel like they're being empowered. Now, because you're a part of her business, that our tagline is do what you love every day. And our mission is to have women create businesses where they are loving their business, but also loving their bank account. So they're doing what they love every day, but they're also being rewarded for it in every way, not just financially. What does a day in your life, Mandy, look like when you are in your business and you are doing what you love?
It's such a great question. It's pretty close to right now. I absolutely love what I get to do every single day. So it's spending time with my family. I've got a daughter, and spending quality time with her. If anything, I probably work a little bit too much at the moment as we're kind of migrating our own system and setting up some more of our own automations. But I love the consulting work that we do. I love problem solving. I'm one of those geeks that give me a problem. You've got a process that's really complex. I want to help you figure out how we're going to automate it. Like I'll do. Yes, that's exciting to me. What I'm really enjoying at the moment, we've got a number of our users migrating over to our solution that I'm creating resources to help them. And I love that. It's a leverage way of packaging my, 11, 12 plus years, whatever it is, of process design, system experience, what's working for clients. And I love packaging that up in a way that our clients can use when it's convenient for them, when they need it, and in a way that's they can easily consume too. That's probably it. We're in the middle of creating a course at the moment, so I'm busy in that space. And the hobby, I'm not a pottery chick like some others in their business, which I wish I was. I took up my girlfriends and I. We do kind of random activities every now and then. We did some ceramic painting. I've got a bowl up there that I want to get back to at some point. But beach volleyball is my thing. I'm a bit short. But I hurt my ankle not long ago, but I'm getting a little bit back into it now. And that's kind of my nothing else kind of exists when I'm in that space. And that's my Zen space. As much as I'm active at the time, that's what I love to do.
I love that. Beach volleyball. Oh my gosh, you must be super fit. And you'd have to be paying attention, otherwise you're going to get knocked in the head. You can't be thinking about your clients at that point. So
no, I'm not super fit, Susie. I want to get back there. I need to play more than what I currently play. But yeah, I love it. And I think that's the case. And I love the philosophy of her business. I really do align with what you're creating here, Susie. And I think it's so important, and it's not just in your business, but it's outside of your business. And I think now my daughter's a little bit older and I can have a bit more time that I can do some things for me, and spending time with my girlfriends, of course, too, my family. That's what this is all about, right? So
good. Hey, thank you so much, not only for being here with me today on the Her Business podcast, but also for the support that you're giving. I know a number of members inside of the Her Business community to really get their time back, to automate, to put in place systems and procedures that allow them to step right into their CEO role. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Susie.
Thank you. So good. Now, I want to touch on a piece that Mandy said during our chat, and that was about how many business owners steer clear of technology that could give them back time, hours and hours, because they have an underlying fear of losing control. Now, this is so spot on with my own experience and the experience that I've witnessed amongst business owners. It's difficult to give over any part of our business. Now, if you're a micropreneur or an entrepreneur, you've had that experience of hiring your first team member. It can be such a terrifying and vulnerable thing to do. But in the end, that staff member gives you back so much of your time. That's the idea anyway, right? It's the same with automation. There's so much potential out there that could free up your time, and you don't have to go all in immediately if it feels like too much. When you first looked at onboarding a team member, you didn't go out and hire a team of 20. You probably started with 1 or maybe 2. And so think about it that way when it comes to your tech and your automation. Ease it into the area that you identify that you need the most help in, and then move on from there. You can do it slowly. But without automation, I know we would never be able to operate at the level that we do. And if you feel embarrassed or ashamed about not knowing about this stuff, just know that so many other small business owners feel the same way. It's okay to start talking about it and asking for help from those who know. Now, one of the resources for you, of course, is to schedule a chat with the lovely Mandy. And she has so much experience in this field, and she's worked with a number of our Her Business members to help them with their automation and their technology. And if you're interested in creating an online course, but you have no idea where to start, this is something Mandy works with clients around all the time. So be sure to download the free guide that Mandy has supplied us. It's called Your Online Course Tech Simplified. And Mandy has also sent us links to other helpful resources like her automation cheat sheet, her automation ROI return on investment calculator, and her high-level demo for course creators. So much good stuff, and you can grab all those resources over on our show notes page, and you'll find that at www.herbusiness.com/307. So that's herbusiness.com/307. And of course, if you'd like to join Mandy and other women business owners inside of our wonderful Her Business community, you can join the waitlist for membership by heading over to herbusinessnetwork.com. Now, one of our members, the lovely Esther Espinoza of Five Sisters Ministry, left us a wonderful review. Now, let me tell you about her business. It's very interesting, and it's specifically for people of faith. So she created Christian resources for kids and teen girls so that they can understand the Bible and they can grow closer to God and connect with Him on a personal level. And she said, brilliant podcast. She's given us 5 stars, full of actionable advice. She said, I absolutely love this podcast. I've been listening for a few years and I always get so much value from it. It's packed with useful insights and I find it incredibly helpful for actually implementing what I'm learning. I like to listen at my desk so I can jot down notes as I go, and it's made such a difference in how I apply new ideas. The episodes are well structured, easy to follow, and full of practical advice. Highly recommended for anyone looking to take action. Esther, thank you so much, and we love having you in the community. Now, if you enjoyed this episode with Mandy or any episode of the show, we would love it if you would leave us a rating or review just like Esther did, or shoot me a message personally at podcast@herbusiness.com if you don't want to publish it publicly and let me know that you enjoyed it, or you can DM me on Instagram and you will find us at Her Business on Instagram. And be sure to follow us there because we're posting great business tips all the time. As I mentioned, over at herbusiness.com/307, you will find a summary of today's episode, links to other resources we've discussed, and links to today's fabulous guest, Mandy Brasser of Streamline for Success. If you are brand new to the show, thank you so much for listening. Go ahead and hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening, and catch us in the next episode for more inspiring stories and lessons from successful female entrepreneurs. I'll see you next week right here on the Her Business podcast. Bye for now.